this world, there is real evil. In the darkest shadows and in the most ordinary places.
House, a word that is very familiar to us. It's where we live and where we came home after a hard day. A new home means a new beginning, but what if the house you rented a day before has a cursed soul that is possessing it, who never allowed you to stay in the house that you paid for? This might be the context that every kind of horror movie out there used and got successful with it. Indeed, some of the script of these movies were true and can be heard anywhere. However, have you ever heard of the Hell House in Connecticut? Everything started in summer 1998, when the Beckwith family found a new home. This family has 5 people: Sean, Bonnie, 2 teenage girls named Frances, Jennifer, and Jeremy.
A family moves into an old house, but soon discovers they're not alone.
The home they are about to buy was listed on a market with such a low price. The house was too good for the amount of money they spent. The family first walked around the house to see if it was good for them with an estate agent. Every member of the house fell in love with this house except for the oldest child. She sensed that there was something wrong with the house, and she felt insecure about it. However, after a little moment of talking with her mom, Bonnie, she finally accepted to come explore the house while the adults walked around with the estate agent. The house was very large. The exploration might take a while for them. After the day they explored the house, they finally decided to move to this house. The nightmare started from here. The day they finally finished setting up for the new house was a tiring day. Everyone went to the bedroom to rest, with the hope and feelings of safety. Suddenly, the young boy Jeremy woke up from a knocking sound at the door. He went out of bed and looked at every corner of the room just to hear the secret whisper from everywhere, which terrified the young boy. He then ran to his parents' room. Bonnie, his mom, thought that the house was just a new environment for him to live in, so she calmed him down. She told Jeremy to take along his flashlight toy so whenever he feels like there is something wrong, he could use his light to protect himself from that thing. The little boy believed in that and then came back to his bedroom to sleep. However, the noise was still there, and it kept getting louder. He grabbed his flashlight, turned it on, and pointed to the corner of the room. There was no use. Suddenly a shadow covered the light of the flashlight. This made Jeremy freaked out. He dived under his blanket with his protective light, but then, out of a sudden, his blanket was pulled out of the windows. This happened repeatedly every night at 11 p.m. The demon really wanted them to stay away from the house. The demonic shadow not only attacked Jeremy but also the other members. The victim this time is Jennifer. She woke up when her bed was shaking. It's like something punching under the bed. As she scrambled to get out of bed, she found out there was nothing. Jennifer was sure that what she was suffering was real, but she just couldn't find out what caused it. Everything happened repeatedly, until Jennifer was enough of it and started to tell Bonnie, her mom, about what happened to herself. At the time of the family meeting that day, Bonnie asked if someone in the house had the same problem like Jennifer and Jeremy had. The answer undoubtedly shocked Bonnie out that all of the family members experienced something strange, and it kept them from sleeping. Realized that something was wrong with the house. Bonnie finally decided to call paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren to help her family. After a few days, Ed and Lorraine came to their house. The first impression that both of the 2 investigators got is that the house is covered by heavy feelings, smothering. After their introduction to the family, Lorraine walked through the house. She went to the room of Jennifer and some image of a demonic demon flashed through her mind. It was so heavy, dangerous, and seemed like a threat that would do anything to keep the Beckwith family away. The Warrens discussed it with 2 parents of the Beckwith family. Of course, 2 parents of the Beckwith family wanted to move away from the house, but it was too late. If they moved out, they would carry some of the demonic souls with them. So there was no choice but to stay and fight. Strange things continued. Bonnie's mom visited her house due to Thanksgiving, and she decided to stay there for a night. She knew that the house was possessed, but still decided to visit them anyway. The night before Thanksgiving, she turned on the TV to watch the program, but it suddenly turned off. She thought it was an accident, but when she looked at the screen of the TV, she saw 3 entities behind her, but when she turned back, nothing was there. However, this still freaked out Bonnie's mom. The Warrens decided to put a camera and tape recorder in the home. They also called a girl named Lee to be the host. After a few steps of preparing, Lee closed her eyes, and she started to tremble, shaking the whole time they tried to find out what possessed the house. Lee's hands shaking a lot. Lorraine later gave Lee a pen and a notebook to perform the auto writing, which will give them information. Lee wrote in an angry way,
My stuff was packed, and I wasn't going to be in that room no more.
The paranormal research team returns for a second investigation led by Bill Cook.
Ed Warren started to ask Lee some questions. He asked such questions like who was there, what do you want, and why was it there? Lee stopped writing for a second. She turned her neck over, looked straight in Ed's eyes, and talked back with a different voice, a voice with a deep and growled tone. The demon asked, "Why did you ask?" and then threw the table, which was made of fig wood, to Ed, pinned him to the wall. The thing is, Lee is a small person, so how can she throw such a heavy thing at Ed? This proved that she was possessed by a demon. After this, the Warren family temporarily leave the house to find a way to solve this problem. Days to days, and the demon attacked again. The doorknob started to turn around, which made noises. There was also knocking at the door sounds to scare off Jeremy, the youngest kid. He ran to his mom, and Bonnie had to call the Warrens to help them. Lorraine and Ed had met a priest, who will help them with the house. The hope of shutting down the thing that is annoying them is greater than ever. The priest came to their house, spreaded holy water on the wall. He did some simple exorcism first to temporarily calm the demon first. Days passed. The demon still tried to annoy them, and it came back even angrier. One more time, the Beckwith family had to call the Warrens for help. This time, a large exorcist will be held. 2 days after Christmas, the priest and Warren's team were at the Beckwith family's house. So the plan is to use Lee as the host to lure the demon again, and then we'll cast it out. The exorcist started, and Lee started to shake. The demon in her body said out loud something that can't be heard. Lee opened her eyes, stared at the priest with hatred and rage. The demon hissed and growled out painfully when the priest spreaded the holy water and started to mutter the blessings. After hours, Lee calmed down a little bit. She closed her eyes as the priest put the cross on her head. It seemed like the demon finally left her body. No, Lee opened her eyes, stared at the priest with a sinful smile. She broke her legs, growled out with the voices of 2 in one body. The exorcist lasted another long hours and only ended when Lee fell asleep. The Beckwith family finally can live peacefully in the house. Later, it is revealed that their house was used to be a funeral parlor.